That was a bit of a warmer-upper now, wasn't it? By now you have a sense of the downward trajectory that this show is destined to take. I would like to remind you of the disclaimer I issued a few moments ago. You may have been thinking I was cautioning you against the use of the bad word. Well, this is poetry, and in poetry, you will see that the bad word is much more benign than the perfectly good words that are employed in a conspiracy of horrific proportions. And so, should I continue?
Aye.
Well, the 14-year-old just voiced his approval. I find it strange that when a woman is no longer a virgin and yet unmarried, we call her ruined. I find it comical because there's no corresponding term for the male species. And what I find amusing, I find fodder for poetry. This is another of my earlier poems. It is called The Ruined Maid. And I should like to dedicate it to the new couple who has been recently married here. Pre-marriage, of course, this poem is. Last night I met a comely girl with cheek a blush and golden curls. Pure this maid as glittered snow. And to my chamber we did go. Yet when the sun dismissed the moon, I woke to find this maid was ruined. And so I'd like to take her back. For look behind, you'll see she's cracked. She lost that new made smell, it's true. No, she's been used and badly too. What once shut tight now flops about. It lets in light, it slops without. Are we all right? Are we all right? I've been deceived, this isn't right. Her mated head did last one night. Good man, she's ruined, quite ruined, I say. I want a new one right away. Her knees have scuffed beyond repair. There's handprints on her derriere. She winks at every passing bloke. Her legs are bowed and now she smokes. This maid is ruined, so take her back. The bill of sale is in the sack. It's virtue I demand, or else I'll take my virtue someplace else. I shall write a poem in your honor. It shall be entitled Ode to a Plunging Neckline. Sweet double hand... Oh, the newly married man seems to be looking at us. Sweet double handfuls of inspiration. Impertinent meat sacks of Eros. Lower thy curtain, let shine thy beams, for the night is newborn, and thy moons be full. A poem for the man in the Buffalo Bills hat. It shall be entitled Ode to Seasonal Disappointment. A poem for the woman. It shall be entitled Ode to a Woman Sitting Up Against the Same Tree That I Pee On Every Day. Look at those, Pat. Oh, yes, a poem for you, the Scotsman. Ode to a Scotsman sitting with his legs open. Subtitled, Ode to a Fuzzy Little Nativity Scene. And they're missing the baby Jesus. It is my pleasure to announce, I alluded to it just a few minutes ago, that this couple in the front row was newly married just, what, an hour ago? Yes. Does anyone here know what an epithalamium is? It is not a very common term. An epithalamium is a Greek term, and it means a wedding poem.
Okay.
Yes. This is a poem that I wrote, as I've written all my poems, as I am a poet. I am not a cover poet. It is called Epithalamium, or the Wedding Poem, and I would like to present it as a gift for you, the newly married couple, whom I am very fond of, in all actuality. It said the wedding day priest to the bride and the groom. Now we've gathered us all beneath this ripening moon, and I'll ask you this once. Will you be man and wife? Will you cling to each other all the days of your life? Will you take this good man, though his face starts to weather, and the fingers of time beat his balls into leather, and they sink to the ground like two prodigal grapes, and he stinks up the room like a cave-dwelling ape, and he heavies his pants without hope of correction, and he farts every time that he pops an erection, and the hair on his back meets the fur in his crack, till you need a machete to hew to the sack. And the streaks in his short. Are we all right? Are we all right? Are you getting this down? My advice is that you should write these poems down, and when mother and father have a Christmas party, just bust them out. Where was I? Oh, yes, sack. And the streaks in his shorts point the way to Brazil, and you're shooting him enemas just for the thrill. And his teeth tumble out till he's gumming his ham. Now I ask you, my love, would you take such a man? And take all the time that you need. And you, my good boy, will you take this fine lass? Though squish goes her belly and a jelly her ass, and her eyes turn agape, and they jaundice like mustard, and her breath smells of death, and her thighs turn to custard. And that sweet silken purse, and that virginal pink hole, gets torn all the hell like a backwater sinkhole. Are we all right? And her jiggly chin waddles down like a turkey, and her vulva dries up like 2 slabs of beef jerky. She acts, she coughs a great spasm. It's a hell of a gift, isn't it? She hacks and she coughs in great spasmodic fits, and you gag at the sight of those caramelized tits. And I ask you, my man, would you take such a wife? Would you stay at her side all the days of your life? Slow incoming, isn't it? Oh, yes, said the bride, I will take this good man, and I'll love him and hold him as best as I can, and should time beat his vine so his pizzle won't grow, well, there's always the gamekeeper's son, don't you know? And when husband's away on some business affair, we'll play Ruffle the Grouse with my feet in the air. And I'll second that too, said the man to the priest. She'll be mine throughout time, though her pie turns to yeast. For how in the world could I ever resist her? And if she gets fat, well, there's always her sister. And so thus said the priest, well then, screw it, you're wed. Now get thee both gone to that rollicking bed, for you've said all the things I was hoping to hear, and if you'd have said no, I'd have done her right here. Why the hell do you care what a priest says anyway? I've not lain with a girl since the Second Crusade. Now I sit in my lonely confessional stall, and you'd think it's Palm Sunday by the sound of it all. And the rest of you bastards, get out in the world. Go find you a man and make love to a girl. Get married, I say. Put a flame to that knife. A heart for a heart, and a man for a wife. Thank you very much. A couple of years ago, the institution of marriage wasn't as politicized as it's become. So that last line, a man for a wife, was not my attempt to make a political statement. I don't care what you marry. You can marry a receptive tube sock for all I care. It's not because I'm invested in any particular lifestyle. I personally feel that sex between two men is the most disgusting thing I can imagine that gives me an erection. Well, this show took a bit of a detour for this, but not much of a detour, actually. There is a question I would like to begin asking my audience, and I shall begin with you, sir. The question is this: on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most wildly inappropriate of my poems, what would you like to hear? 10. I feel that I should save you from yourself, sir. I think the man who wants to 10 so soon draws the suspicion of the women around him, who do not want a man to charge down the sidewalk and hammer away at the door knocker without first complimenting the shrubbery. Is that what you said, madam? You too, madam. Aye. 10. Sluts. Come on, at this show, that's a compliment. Well, There is only one poem that I may do at this point, and I shall give it to you. It is a poem that I wrote, as I have written all my poems, as I am a poet. It is called I Built My Love a Menstrual Hut. It is a 10. Now look, if at any point during the recital of this poem you find it's too much or I've gone too far, try to keep in mind that you fuckers asked for 10. I see you're still here for this one. In fact, you seem to have taken a few steps closer. It's a sad day when I'm the voice of reason in town. Whose laugh is that? Who's laughing? I like that laugh. No, because most women laugh like this, but you laugh like this. Oh, here we go. You're sitting on the vibrating bench. I get you a Heimlich maneuver. I wonder why Heimlich... Take this as marital advice. Do not do as Heimlich did. Have more than one maneuver in your arsenal. Because one day, Heimlich will come home and find his wife in bed, and he'll say, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm doing the Steve maneuver." Well, that was a sidetrack, wasn't it? I built my love a menstrual hut. I built it out of clay. With earthen halls and wattled walls, I built it far away. That I might have some solitude when twixt her thighs she leaks. Away, my love, get thee to hut, and stay you for a week. And stay a while till calm returns, that I won't have to bear thy grinding voice and hissing tongue that claws my inner ear. For I've got work to do, you know, and I can't keep my head. My love, she bursts in tears, then flings herself upon the bed. And oh, what stench, my bleeding one! 'Tis like a stagnant fen. It smells as if Lake Nether Clam hath turned itself again. Are we all right? I feel that I may have divided the audience in half. Should I keep going?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
The dogs have gathered at the door. They think I've slain a lamb. The vultures fix their baleful eyes upon that wounded clam. They think I'm making dinner for the stench eggs thick and strong. And if I had a bouillon cube, they wouldn't be far wrong. So low her lips, they leave a trail, as from a pilgrim slug. But must she drag her meat flaps across my oriental rug? Wow, it is quiet, isn't it? With panties at her ankles, my love shuffles across the room. It's boo-hoo-hoo and nag-nag-nag each time she's on her moon. Almighty Christ, her voice is shrill, like nails against a slate. And I can't find a quiet place to go and masturbate. Don't ask her for a reach around, she'll beat you with a rock. I suppose I have to apologize because I have a kirk. But I need sex, yet so much blood, 'tis more than I can take. If blood was what I wanted, hell, I'd fucking uncooked steak. Please don't laugh. So out to fling thy changing moods and wring thine anxious hands. Go hence to burn thy dinner too, and nag some other man. I hie thee to that sodden hut, to wail without surcease. Sweet menstrual hut, I built thee well. At last, I'll have my peace. That was from my second volume of complete poetry entitled A Gentleman's Treasury of Bedtime Verses to Sodomize By. I have an announcement to make, and that is that the chocolate shop down the way has switched ownership. And now they're a whorehouse. But they didn't change the sign. And I wish they did before I ordered the screaming double German fudge blasters. Paid extra for the sprinkles. We poets often draw inspiration from the natural world. Often, when I'm walking through a forest, I will find my muse heightened by the sights of nature. A while ago, I don't know if I should share this poem with you, but I think you can take it. It's not that bad. I was walking through a great forest, and I encountered a tree with the most alluring formation on the side of it. As I stared at this formation, I found myself in a state of deep arousal. And so I hurried home to compose this poem, a poem which I have entitled Ode. To an extremely provocative knothole. I call that invoking the muse. Thou hole, thou lurid lusty hole, the spreading cherry bears her soul. She spills her lobed and liquid lips, and bids the sap rise between my hips. For what fleshy knots arouse my sense to sweet bilabial recompense. Fair hole, oft times I walked alone in verdant forests overgrown to flee the sour memory of woman's love. I'm sorry, sir, I can see your head. From now on, you've got your own hole to worry about. You're a whole hog, is what I'm moving over here. Please, sour memory of woman. It must be Slippery Elm if you got your head to flee the sour memory of woman's love fast fled from me. 'Twas all for naught, for now I see the fairest holes do grow on trees. All woman's form but grows distressed and hangs in sad cascades of flesh. Those teats that gravity once cheated in time must flop to earth defeated. But thou, fair hole, makest my mood lighter to think next year thou wilt be tighter. I would that I had wood enough to stuff inside thy mossy muff. I'd strip thy bark, I'd tap thee tree, I'd poke thy precious choke cherry, or would I stroke thy pokeberry? That was not thy holes for me. Thank you very much. That was an example of an ode. An ode is a poem that assumes a more reflective nature. Keats wrote an ode to a nightingale, and Shelley wrote an ode to the western wind. I am writing currently a response to that poem. It shall be called Ode to the North by Northwest Wind, traveling at 10 to 20 knots, but tapering off to 5 knots by Tuesday. Well, recently it has become fashionable when we offend someone to apologize by saying that it was a poor choice of words. My friends, there shall be no such nonsense at this show. Rest assured that if I offend you, all of my words have been meticulously selected for freshness, economic agency, and good old-fashioned colon-puckering shock value. And we have just a little bit of time left, I do believe. Time for maybe 1 or 2 more poems. And so I should like to ask you, madam, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most wildly inappropriate of my poems, what would you like to hear? 10. 14, I'm hearing 14. Suddenly it's an auction, isn't it?
Bring it up a notch.
You want that one? Let me see what time it is. I'm getting requests from the front row. I've got time for 2 more poems. But there's a woman who came here and the man in the back, they asked if I do the same poems for every show. And I told them about one poem that I would like to do at this one. This is a 14. Is that all right?
Yes.
One of the challenges of writing poetry is once you've written one poem that you like, to write something that is different from it. A good poem should have an element of surprise. The poet Robert Frost once said, "No surprise for the poet, no surprise for the reader." So in writing a poem, there should be a journey. Well, in the spirit of surprise endings, this is a poem that I wrote. It's a poem for you. It is called Lord Wentworth, My Son. And where hast thou been, Lord Wentworth, my son? And where hast thou been, my virtuous one? Oh, Father, I walked to the deepest of woods, and I saw what I saw, and I took what I could. And what did you see, Lord Wentworth, my son? And what did you see, my virtuous one? A thistledown tree with a nightingale cried, and beneath it a stag with a wound in its side. And I met a fair maiden with skin pale and fine, on a bed of wild heather, and bound with a vine. I bound with a vine, so I drew forth my blade, and I cleaved well the vine till I freed the poor maid. And what did you do, Lord Wentworth, my son? And what did you do, my virtuous one? Oh, Father, I tore off her long purple robe, and I plunged through her bush with my cumbersome lobe, and I bent her down low, and I gave her a ride, and I glazed her with porridge all down her backside, and I threw her fair legs. I'm done asking you bastards if you're all right, by the way. I threw her fair legs way up to the sky, and then Jesus said to the 12 disciples, "Blessed are they who take their children far, far away from this show." What was that? Oh, yes, culture. I threw her fair legs way up to the sky, and we fisted and felched till my flesh pipe went dry. Yes, we diddled and doinked in various manners, and my penis is sore, but her ass is much tanner. In every crevasse and in every position, we bonked and we boinked in a way that's not Christian. Did she take you in mouth, Lord Wentworth, my son? Did she take you in mouth, my virtuous one? Alas, no, she didn't, though I laid in her bed. For Father, I searched, but I ne'er found her head. I feel like I would like to do Melon Mom, but I really feel I should do heart-side conversation to these people. Is that all right? Do you want Melon Mommy? All right, I have to do this poem. I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. I've got time for one more poem, but before I do this, I want to say thank you for the great improbability. That improbability being that this many people would come out to the middle of nowhere, sit on some ill-constructed benches next to a malaria emporium, and listen to a half an hour of dirty poetry. That's the easy part to believe, by the way. But that's what you've done, and I appreciate it. And a few years ago, when I started doing these poems, I would walk about in the streets here, and I'd ask people if they wanted to hear a poem. And no one ever wanted to stop. It wasn't until I started asking you, would you like to hear something wildly inappropriate, that you bastards started giving me the time of day. So, thank you very much, and if you do not enjoy this show, just know that you pressured me into it. And at the end of the show, if there's a way that you would like to take me home with you, I would like to direct your attention up there. I have quite a few products. I got 2 CDs and a new DVD of a show I did at the Southern Theater in Minneapolis. The DVD is 70 minutes long. It's got everything you've heard here and much, much more that you will not hear. It is wildly inappropriate. It is deeply offensive. It is biologically invasive. And it is really good to masturbate to. I would like to devote a poem to you, the 14-year-old in the audience with his parents. This is a coming-of-age poem. And if you do not deserve this poem, your parents certainly do. It is called Expostulation and Reply. Why, William, my beloved son, why sit you in your room and dream your idle life away? For idleness is doomed to book, and drink you well the mead of finer things. Let science be thy shepherd, and good reason be thy king. Why think you, dearest father, that I sit in idle thought? For there are things not written which a young man must be taught. The sparrow warbles at my sill, the lilac shows her flower, and nature bids us hearken to the lessons of the hour. And though I love you dearly and I crave your sound direction, yet leave my doorstep, father, for you're killing my erection. Fish are spawning in the brook, the bee pursues the linnet, and Mother Nature spreads her thighs each god-forsaken minute. Yet you have taught me nothing of what 'tis to be a man, and so I take my education in my milky hands. I'm bawling off my hot stick till old Baldy buffs a shine, and 5-on-1 is never fair, but Christ, it feels divine. Are we all right? Are we all right?
No, we're done asking.
I yank my wanker westward on this undulating sea. My hand shall be my Virgil, and this eggnog my degree. Rose, you like eggnog, isn't it? And damn you, father, straight to hell, since gentle mother died. You took a younger wife, and I can't keep my ball stick dry. She's curvy, lean, and leggy, neither corpulent nor stubby. And when she wears that corset, I can't help but growing a chubby. This morning I came down the stairs and found her bending o'er. I wish to grab that juicy ass and make my mommy sore. I want to fuck my mother. What the hell is wrong with me? Are we all right? Because you shouldn't be all right on that. What the hell is wrong with me? Those Brazilian leather pancakes are the breakfast that I need. I've got 2 melons in my room. I have one for the breasts, and with the other bore a hole and put it to the test. I shall not come to study, nay, I've other plans besides. I'm screwing Melon Mommy, and I'm thinking of your bride. Oh, this is really... Who wrote this shit? William, you impudent wretch, I'll beat you till you're bloody. Withdraw you from that melon and come right away to study. I'm coming, father, coming straight away. I'm coming with my melons, and I'll come twice more today.